been battling multiple sclerosis from the age of 10 years old, and I'll be 50 in January, Dan. So for 40 years, I've been looking for relief and for help, and I've been suffering again with this pain for the last 25 years in my face and head. So I need something for relief out there.
After my accident, the pain is the headaches are just uncontrollable, like, practically I'm all pretty well crying too, and it's pretty bad for, a whole man, a full-grown man to cry too, but the pain is that bad. What do you do, right?
It's curing cancer. It's helping with multiple sclerosis. I have Hep C, it's helping me with that. I know people with other ailments that it's helping.
Nobody's ever restrained the government and put them on trial before a law was passed to stop irreversible harms, or in our case, barriers to access that will cause irreversible harm. That's never been done.
The MMAR became the medical program in Canada, federally, enabling people to apply to produce cannabis for themselves or to have a designated grower produce for them.
I run medical marijuana dispensaries in Vancouver. We serve about 5,000 patients with these important marijuana extracts and marijuana medicines. Many of them find that they use far less pharmaceutical drugs when they have access to marijuana medicine. Well, those pharmaceutical drugs are heavily subsidized by BC taxpayers, and so if somebody chooses not to use those because they can get the same medicinal effect from a natural herb, that's a win-win for everybody. Many of them feel healthier and better using cannabis instead of pharmaceutical drugs. Taxpayers can pay less to help that person out. It's a win for everybody, and so there's those kind of benefits as well.
My name is Ramo, and I'm a medical marijuana grower from Canada. I use it for pain relief and to get rid of muscle spasms, and nothing else will get rid of muscle spasms like herb, let me tell you. And I think it's a basic right for every patient to be able to, if they use cannabis as medicine for symptom relief, to be able to grow it and produce it themselves, because you're able to treat yourself for $1 to $2 a gram. That's pretty cheap. What they're proposing is that we pay $10 to $15 a gram from a commercial supplier. I'm not going to be able to afford to smoke.
Ultimately, the government has come up with a new set of regulations called the Marijuana for Medical Purposes Regulations, the MMPR. And they came in on June 19th of this year, and they run together with the MMAR until March 31st, 2014, at which time the MMAR is effectively repealed. The repeal takes away the personal production licenses, takes away the designated grower licenses, and creates something called licensed producers.
My name's Jason Wilcox. We're at the Green Cross Society of British Columbia, one of many clubs in the Lower Vancouver area. They're forcing me to go underground. They take my license away. They remove clubs like this. They're going to force me underground. And that's an unfortunate position to put a medical patient in that's had permits for 10 years, which I've had.
So many of us across the country are suffering, and we're suffering to the point of where we're looking for anything for relief. As like I said, I actually turned to cannabis when nothing else would work for me, Dan. So what we have to do is understand that cannabis is medicine, cannabis is good medicine, and that cannabis is A, non-addictive, and B, not lethal. So they won't die from using or trying cannabis as medicine.
Canada has been legal for medical patients like myself for 12 years. I've had a license for 10 years. And now I got to look at, for the first time, going back on traditional therapy, such as oxycodone for pain and various inflammation pills and stuff for my back, various things that I need for the nerve endings from the different treatments I've had to take over the years, all the different things that would be taken away, the nausea in the morning. If I don't medicate, I throw up because of the treatment I take to stay alive. To take that away? No, screw that. This is still Canada. We're medical patients, but we're not silent, and we're not going to go down like that.
The federal government has said they're going to remove all those licenses, that nobody's allowed to grow their own medicine anymore. No one's allowed to have someone else grow it for them on a one-to-one kind of basis. Instead, they're licensing larger companies to grow medical marijuana and provide it to patients by mail order. And it's a very strange situation where we have the government giving licenses to grow large quantities of marijuana to these companies while also putting in mandatory minimums for someone who wants to grow 6 plants on their balcony. And so that's a very strange hypocrisy how the situation is developing.
This fight is really about a constitutional issue. It's our job, it's our duty as patriots, first and foremost, to this country, to oppose any policy that's passed or law that hurts civilians. This is such a law, a set of laws, a set of regulations that have been passed and will come into full force that will hurt 39,000 Canadians. It is our sole obligation to oppose it.
When did you start trying cannabis as an option for your epilepsy?
I've tried it quite some time ago, right? Because it helps me eat, it helps me sleep, it just basically helps me function. Whenever I get a seizure or whatever, I roll up a joint, and not all the time, but most of the time it does help.
I started to grow my own medicine many years ago when I have chronic hepatitis C. Once I got the diagnosis for that, one of the side effects is constant nausea, and the only thing that helped me other than drinking a lot of water was the herb, so I decided to start growing it for my own benefit, and I've been at it for quite a while now.
This is the worst pain known to medicine. It's called Tic-Dol-Aru. My great-grandfather had it and suffered from it completely, and all they could do was give him injections of liquid gold, hot liquid gold in his face to give him relief. So I know here it is, almost 100 years later, and we have still not found anything else for relief for this violent pain that I suffer from. So I blame the government for that as well.
What will it mean come April 1st if these changes go through for the some 39,000 people and some of the people that you have coming to your place regularly here?
This is one of many places that if it's taken away, patients are done. They're not only done for supply, but they're done for a place to properly congregate.
Well, I know that puts people like myself in a very, very awkward position because, first of all, none of us wants to break the law, and secondly, we're going to. So whether they like it or not, we are not going to be the people that fill up those jails that Prime Minister Harper is building. We are going to be the people who are screaming, standing outside saying, no longer, leave us alone.
So we say that the new regulations are unconstitutional to the extent that they interfere with the continuous safe supply of the patient, and that the constitutional right of reasonable access includes a right to produce for yourself.
See, with all these other legalization and other movements, there's nothing definitive. At the end of the day, we have something. We're taking a lawyer or a group of lawyers, and we're going to go to court, and we're going to have an outcome. And we shouldn't lose the right to grow. That's, this is a fundamental right.
I really hope that we don't lose this from lack of funding. We need people to step up and really help out the medical patients in this country and their right to access their cannabis. I certainly am not going anywhere until the dust settles and the justice is spoken and the Constitution has been decided on in this country.
Just educate yourselves. Don't listen to one side or the other. Listen to all sides and then find your own middle ground, because eventually you will come to the truth. This is not a harmful plant.
The courts are going to be filled up with medical patients who are stuck by this, what in our view is not a reasonable solution to the constitutional right of reasonable access to cannabis for medical purposes.
It's time to get over this incredible fear we have of marijuana, of cannabis. There's nothing to be afraid of. The cannabis plant is like any other plant, like any other substance. It can be harmful if used the wrong way, and it can be useful if used the right way. This is an issue whose time has come. It's time for our governments to lose their fear of the marijuana people and the marijuana industry and to embrace it as really what is one of the world's most wonderful plants in terms of its wide range of medicinal, industrial, and social uses. Cannabis really has few plants that can compare with how useful and wonderful it is.